Imagine waking up tomorrow and being told that showering could kill you, that soap is poison, that the layer of sweat on your skin from yesterday and the day before and the week before that is the only thing standing between you and death. Your doctor looks you in the eye and warns, hot water opens the pores, and open pores invite disease inside. You don't wash. You can't wash, because in this world, cleanliness isn't next to godliness, it's next to the grave. This isn't a nightmare. This is 1348, medieval England, the year after the Black Death carved through Europe like a scythe, killing 1 in every 3 people. The survivors learned a brutal lesson. The old rules no longer apply. Physicians now preach that bathing strips away your body's natural defenses, that dirt forms a protective seal against the corrupted air, the miasma that carries death itself. So you wear your filth like armor. You tuck dried herbs into your unwashed clothes. You change your linen shirt and call it cleanliness. You scrub your teeth with ground bone and salt until your gums bleed, hoping it's enough. Welcome to a world where everything you know about hygiene is backwards, and survival means embracing the very things that would disgust you most. In medieval England, the body is not a machine. It is a fortress under siege. And the enemy is invisible, patient, and everywhere. It drifts on the wind, it seeps through windows, it rises from marshes and settles in valleys like morning fog. The physicians call it miasma, corrupted air, poisoned breath, the very atmosphere turned hostile. You cannot see it, you cannot fight it, but you can feel it the moment fever takes hold, the moment the swellings appear, the moment death walks through your door. The Black Death taught England this lesson in blood. Between 1348 and 1350, nearly half the population vanished. Entire villages emptied, fields went unplowed, children buried their parents in mass graves so crowded the bodies had to be stacked. No one knew why it happened, no one understood how it spread, but everyone agreed on one thing: the air itself had turned against them. And so the medical scholars, the barber surgeons, the monks who tended the sick, they all arrived at the same desperate conclusion. The body must be sealed, protected, fortified against the poisoned world outside. Hot water, they warned, is a traitor. It opens the pores, and pores are not just openings in the skin. They are gates, breaches in the wall, cracks where miasma slips inside and takes root in the flesh. This is not superstition to them. This is science. This is survival written in the margins of medical texts and whispered at bedsides. A physician in London writes it plainly: to bathe is to invite corruption into the blood. A monk in Canterbury echoes the warning: the pore, once opened by heat, cannot be closed again. What enters will fester. They point to those who bathed before the plague and died anyway. They see correlation and call it proof. And so dirt becomes something else entirely. Not filth, not shame, but protection, a second skin, a barrier between flesh and air. The grime that accumulates over days, over weeks, over months, it seals you. It plugs the pores that water would betray. The sweat, the dust, the oil of unwashed skin, they form a crust that miasma cannot penetrate, or so they believe. And belief in the shadow of mass death is stronger than evidence. The wealthy embrace this logic with fervor. They stop visiting bathhouses. They board them up, declare them dens of contagion. Instead, they invest in linen, fine white linen, changed daily, pressed against the skin to draw out impurities without ever touching water. The cloth, they are told, absorbs corruption like a sponge. Each fresh shirt is a cleansing. Each discarded one carries away invisible poison. A nobleman can go months without bathing and consider himself immaculate. The poor have no such luxury. They wear the same wool tunic until it rots. They sleep in the same sweat-soaked straw. But they too believe, because what choice do they have? When the next wave of plague could arrive tomorrow, when the air itself feels heavy with threat, you cling to any rule that promises survival. Clean skin is not a virtue here. It is a grave invitation, an open door, a reckless gamble with death. And so medieval England chooses the grime, chooses the itch, chooses the smell, because in a world where bathing might kill you, dirt is the only armor left. You wake before dawn to cold that bites through wool. The straw beneath you crunches as you shift. It has not been changed in weeks, maybe months. The rushes scattered across the floor smell faintly of lavender and rot, herbs mixed with dust and the residue of 100 footsteps. You swing your legs over the edge of the bed, and your feet meet dampness. Not water, condensation, sweat, the accumulated moisture of bodies living in unventilated rooms. By the bedside sits a shallow wooden basin. The water inside is cold enough to sting. You dip a strip of rough linen into it and press the cloth against your face. The shock makes you gasp. You wipe quickly, cheeks, forehead, the back of your neck if you can bear it. Your hands come away gray. That is all the washing you will do today. The rest of your body remains as it was yesterday and the day before. The sweat from last week's labor still clings to your skin beneath your clothes. You can feel it, a film, a second self you carry everywhere. If you are wealthy, the morning unfolds differently. You do not touch water at all. Instead, a servant brings fresh linen. You peel away yesterday's undershirt, damp with sweat, and pull on a new one. The fabric is cool, crisp, startlingly white. This is your bath. The linen, you have been told, draws corruption from your pores like a poultice. It absorbs the poisons your body expels in the night. You will change again at midday, again before supper. Each time you feel cleaner, though your skin has not seen soap in a month. If you are poor, you own one shirt. You will die in it. Now comes the mouth. You take a strip of linen and dip it into a small bowl. Inside, crushed salt, ground charcoal, fragments of animal bone pulverized into grit. You wrap the cloth around your finger and scrub, hard. The taste is bitter, metallic. Your gums bleed almost immediately, staining the cloth pink. The enamel on your teeth is wearing thin. You can feel it, smooth places turning rough. But this is better than rot, better than the toothworm they say burrows into the root and gnaws until the whole tooth blackens and dies. If that happens, you will visit the barber. He will use iron pliers. There will be no mercy. You spit into the basin. The water clouds red. The smell is already rising. Your own body, yes, but also the room, the bed, the floor. The faint sour note of chamber pots emptied but never truly clean. So you reach for the herbs. Lavender tucked into the folds of your tunic, rosemary crushed and rubbed into your collar. If you have coin, a dab of rose water on your wrists. It does not erase the smell. It sits on top of it, a thin, sweet layer over something deeper, heavier, inescapable. And beneath it all, the itch. Constant, maddening. You cannot scratch through the layers of clothing. You cannot reach the places that need it most. Your scalp tingles. Your back crawls. Something moves in the seams of your shirt. Lice, probably. Everyone has them.
You have learned to ignore the feeling, mostly. This is mourning. This is clean enough. This is survival.
You do not live alone in your body. Something else is there with you. In your gut, coiled and patient, are worms. Roundworms, tapeworms, threadworms, parasites so common that nearly everyone carries them. You cannot see them, you cannot feel them most days, but they are eating, slowly, constantly, stealing calories from food you can barely afford, draining nutrients from a diet already lean. That exhaustion you feel, the one that never quite lifts even after a full night's sleep, it is not laziness, it is theft. Your body is feeding two organisms, and only one of them is you. Children grow up with distended bellies, and mothers assume it is hunger. Sometimes it is, but often it is infestation. A belly swollen not with food, but with parasites multiplying in the dark. There is no treatment, no cure, only endurance. The body learns to carry the burden. It has no choice. Beneath your clothing, other battles rage in silence. That scrape on your arm from last week has not healed. The edges are red, angry, weeping fluid that stains your shirt. You cannot wash it properly. You cannot expose it to air without inviting miasma inside. So it festers, hidden, a low-grade infection your body fights alone, burning energy you do not have to spare. Your skin itches where sweat has pooled and been trapped for days. Small sores open, they close, they open again. This is normal. This is life. Your teeth betray you slowly. One morning you wake to a dull ache in your jaw. By evening it is a throb. By the next day you cannot chew on that side. The pain is sharp, relentless, impossible to ignore. The explanation is always the same. A toothworm. A creature boring into the root, gnawing from within. You have never seen one. No one has. But the pain is real, and the worm must be real too. So you go to the barber. He gestures to a stool. You sit. He brings iron pliers, still stained from the last patient. There is no wine to dull the pain, no ceremony. He grips the tooth, braces his knee against your chest, and pulls. The crack echoes inside your skull. Your mouth fills with blood. The pain is white, blinding, total. And then it is over. The tooth is gone. The worm, presumably, with it. Your mouth will never be the same. Gaps appear. Smiles become guarded things. But you are alive. And that is the miracle beneath the misery. Your body adapts. Your immune system, forged in constant exposure to filth, becomes a weapon. Infections that would hospitalize a modern human barely slow you. You survive bacterial loads that should not be survivable. Your gut flora is a war zone, and somehow you keep going. Most people in 1348 will not see 50. Many will not see 30. Disease, malnutrition, infection, injury, they accumulate faster than the body can repair. But those who survive do so because their biology has been hardened in fire. They are not healthy by any modern measure. They are functional, resilient despite, not because. The body carries more than it should. It endures more than it was designed for. And still, somehow, it wakes up the next morning and keeps going.
In the castle, the solution to human waste is brutally simple. The guard robe, a stone bench jutting out from the wall, has a hole carved through it. You sit, gravity does the rest. Below, nothing waits to catch what falls. No pipes, no water, just air, and far below, a moat or a cesspit that grows deeper and more toxic by the day. In summer, the fumes rise thick enough to burn your eyes and coat your throat. The ammonia is so strong it stings. And yet the nobles hang their finest garments here: velvet cloaks, silk tunics, fur-lined robes. Why? Because the fumes kill fleas. The toilet becomes a fumigation chamber. Waste serves a purpose, even as it poisons the air. Step outside the castle walls and into London, and the situation collapses entirely. The streets are not paved for beauty, they are trenches, open sewers disguised as roads. People empty chamber pots from second-story windows with barely a warning shout. The contents splash into gutters already thick with animal dung, rotting food, and the runoff from 100 households. The waste has nowhere to go. It sits, it ferments, it seeps into the ground, into wells, into the water people drink. At night, when respectable citizens are asleep, the gong farmers come. They work in darkness because no one wants to see what they do. They descend into cesspits, some as deep as a house is tall, and shovel human excrement by hand. The work is slow. The fumes are deadly. Men collapse mid-shift, suffocated by methane and ammonia, and drown in the filth they were paid to remove. Their bodies are pulled out at dawn. The pit is emptied by the next crew. This is one of the deadliest jobs in England, and it is essential. Without them, entire neighborhoods would become uninhabitable. Above ground, the city relies on a different workforce: pigs. They roam the streets freely, eating garbage tossed from windows, reducing waste that would otherwise pile into mountains. They are the city's cleanup crew. They are also its contributors. More dung, more filth. The cycle feeds itself. The smell of medieval London is not a background note. It is a physical presence, a wall you walk through. Travelers describe it as a blow to the senses, the sharp chemical bite of tanneries where urine and dog feces are collected in open vats to cure leather, the iron tang of butchers' stalls where blood runs into the streets and attracts clouds of flies, the thick, rotting sweetness of garbage left too long in the heat, smoke from coal and wood fires mixing with everything else, creating a haze that clings to clothing and hair and lungs. And when nature calls, there is no paper waiting. If you are wealthy, you sacrifice scraps of wool or linen. If you are not, you use what is near: moss, leaves, hay, straw, your hand, and then maybe a rinse in a bucket if water is close. The cycle completes itself. Hands are never truly clean. Waste is never truly contained. Disease spreads invisibly, passed from person to person, surface to surface, meal to meal. The divide is clear. The wealthy create waste, the poor handle it. The gong farmers, the muckrakers, the tanners, they live in the consequence of everyone else's bodies. They breathe what others expel. They touch what others discard. And the city keeps growing.
They were not stupid. This is the first thing we must understand. Medieval people felt discomfort as sharply as we do. They knew the itch of unwashed skin. They tasted blood when they scrubbed their teeth. They smelled the streets they walked through. They were not numb to their conditions. They were trapped by them, limited by technology, fuel, infrastructure, and a medical framework that made sense within the logic of their time. They did not fail to be clean. They succeeded at survival under impossible constraints. And they fought back with everything they had. Herbal knowledge was not folklore, it was medicine. Garlic, crushed and applied to wounds, actually slowed infection. Vinegar, used to rinse cuts, had antiseptic properties no one could explain, but everyone could observe. Wine poured over open injuries reduced festering. These practices worked, not perfectly, not consistently, but often enough to be passed down, mother to daughter, barber to apprentice, generation to generation. Fire, too, became a tool. Blades heated until they glowed were cleaner than cold iron. The logic was ritual. The result was sterilization. Even in filth, dignity persisted.
A woman might go weeks without bathing, but she still braided her hair each morning, still tucked rosemary into the folds of her dress, still swept the floor, even if the rushes beneath had not been changed. A man might wear the same tunic for months, but he still groomed his beard, still perfumed his gloves if he could afford it. These acts were not vanity, they were anchors, small rituals that created order inside chaos, that whispered, "I am still here, I still matter." This is where modern judgment falters. We see their filth and assume moral failure, but cleanliness is not a virtue, it is a technology. It requires running water, soap, fuel to heat that water, time to use it, and knowledge of why it matters. Strip those away and hygiene becomes improvisation. Medieval England had none of these things in abundance. What they had was fear, disease, scarcity, and a medical system that told them washing was dangerous. Within that framework, their choices were rational. They were not dirty by neglect, they were dirty by necessity, and still they kept going. They raised children in smoke-filled rooms. They worked fields while carrying parasites that drained their strength. They survived plagues that killed half of everyone they knew, without understanding contagion, without antibiotics, without even the concept of germs. They endured because endurance was the only option. When we look at medieval England now, we should not only see what is missing, we should see what it cost to live at all, to wake each day and choose to continue, to scrub teeth until gums bled because rotting teeth meant starvation, to descend into cesspits so neighbors could live in their homes, to tuck lavender into a child's clothing, knowing it will not stop the plague, but doing it anyway because it is all you have. A mother in 1348 kneels beside her daughter. She tucks a sprig of dried lavender into the girl's collar, smooths her hair, whispers a prayer she half believes. The child smells of sweat and straw and yesterday's work. So does the mother. They have not bathed in weeks. They will not bathe for weeks more. But the lavender is there. The hair is combed. The prayer is spoken. This is not failure. This is love operating at the edge of possibility. This is resilience forged in grime, and it deserves not our disgust, but our respect.
So the next time you step into a hot shower, let the water run over your skin and reach for soap without thinking twice. Remember 1348. Remember the people who believed that same act could kill them, who survived not because they were careless, but because they were constrained. History is not a story of progress from stupidity to enlightenment. It is a story of humans doing the best they could with what they had. If you want more stories like this, the ones that make you rethink everything you thought you knew, subscribe, because the past is not what you think it is, and neither is the present.